So welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rachel Justice, and along with my partner, Jillian Levinson, we run the Woman to Woman program. And this is session 2 of a 3-session series on tapping, which is also known as the emotional freedom technique. And we have the wonderful Melanie Moore, who is our leader and educator. And again, if you are live today, or if you are watching this, the sessions are standalone, but it is also nice if you want to see all 3 sessions. And I think that I will be quiet, and I'm going to turn off my microphone and just kind of pass everything over to Melanie. And again, Melanie, given that we do have some new folks who were not here last time, you don't have to go through all of the PowerPoints and everything unless you want to go through them quickly. But if you could, just bear in mind that there's some people who will be seeing this and learning about it for the first time today. But we are thrilled to spend the next hour with you, and I personally am very much looking forward to it. And I'm so happy that you all took the time to join today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed last week's session. It was lovely to see your faces and to introduce or reintroduce or reacquaint some of you with tapping. I know some of you had never tapped before, and some of you kind of dabbled in it. But exactly what Rachel just said, what I'm planning to do today is to give you a very quick overview if you are new, and it will also kind of give you a reminder if it was new to you last week, but I'm not going to go into as much depth with the tapping points as I did last week. And obviously, if this is your first time today and it's kind of spiked your interest, then go back and watch the replay of last week's session, where I tell you a little bit more about the history and the origins of EFT or tapping. But my intention is that if this is your first session today, you're going to get extraordinary, value from this session as a standalone session, but I hope that you'll go back and watch last week's one as well. So I've titled this series EFT for Body, Mind and Spirit. And the reason I've called it that is because that is how I and a lot of other tappers, we conclude a round of tapping. We will do the tapping, which I will demonstrate for you in a minute. But then at the end of it, we kind of take a nice deep breath and we just say the words, in body, mind and spirit. I don't really know the origins of that. I must be honest with you, but I'd seen some other tappers do it, and I just thought that's a really nice way to close a tapping session, because what I'm going to be talking about today is tapping for the mind. Now, last week we did body. We tapped for physical symptoms, and funny enough, this past week, my son went for a post-exam trip to Cyprus with his friends and brought back this virus. Goodness knows what virus. But anyway, he had kind of infected myself and his sister with this kind of mystery, this bug. And my daughter and I, we've been using tapping all week to kind of just help our bodies heal. And this is what I've done with my children ever since they were very young. We've used tapping as a healing modality. So we talked about that last week, about using tapping for physical issues. We tapped last week for, I shared with you how it could be used for more energy, to help you get to sleep at night. And we even used it to help with kind of side effects of drugs. And, I'd love to know in the comments, how you've any kind of feedback after last week's session, but also, have you explored tapping any more since last week? Have you kind of dabbled a little bit more into it? Because here's the thing with tapping, it is great as an instant, either something to relax you, to energize you, to make you feel better, but it's also very good as a long-term tool, which I'm going to be talking about more today, to help us kind of rewire thought processes. So I'm just going to go through my slides very quickly. Let me just up. That'd be great. Perfect. Okay. So this is emotional freedom technique, or mind, body and spirit. And we could just dash through that. We'll just whiz through that. So what we'll be discussing this afternoon is, what is EFT? Very briefly, because I did talk more about it last week. EFT and the mind and I'll explain a little bit more about in a minute as well, and how we can use EFT for mind-related issues. And by this, I mean things like anxiety, worry, and fear, and any other kind of thoughts that we may have, because it's our thoughts that affect the way we feel. I'll explain a little bit more what I mean about that in a minute. So just a quick introduction to myself. If you don't know, so I'm a mum to teenagers. I'm a former journalist. I worked at the BBC. I began my holistic therapy career 15 years ago doing Reiki, reflexology, and I've chosen to kind of specialize in EFT. I particularly like to help women who are at crossroads in their lives, women who are, you know, at a transition point, whatever that may be, whether that's, you know, just becoming a mother, or, you know, kids, or right up to kids leaving home, fleeing the nest, and you're left with that empty nest. It's, you know, when you're at those crossroads, and I help women kind of, particularly with kind of a vision for the future as well. And I love to spread the word of tapping into the world. So I'm just going to run through the tapping points again very quickly, and I did this in a lot more detail. I'll do this in the last week's one, so do go back and watch the replay. We're going to be using our fingertips to tap on acupressure points, and tapping is best described a cross between acupuncture and modern day psychology. It's drug-free, and it can be very safely used by everyone at any age, even very young children. You know, I've been tapping with my children almost as soon as they could talk, they were tapping. And I'm just going to explain again very briefly what these tapping points relate to. These acupressure points have their roots in traditional Chinese medicine. So, and I'll explain to you the points as well. So you can see in the little screen where I'm kind of tapping the top of my head. This is kind of around hamster wheel thinking. If you kind of have thoughts that just run through your head, particularly at nighttime, this can kind of affect many of us when we just have thoughts that we just can't, you know, thoughts that just race through our head. The top of the head is a good place to kind of help release, you know, these feelings. Now, when I talk about the eyebrow, this is where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose. So we've got 2 points here, either side of the eye by the bridge of the nose. We call it the eyebrow point. This releases kind of old trauma, restlessness, hurt, sadness, impatience, and frustration. Side of the eye, this can release rage, real anger. If you feel angry, if somebody has kind of, you know, really made you feel angry, just sit and breathe and just tap on this point and just allow that emotion to, you know, leave your body. It's also very good for resentment, impatience, stuck in traffic. If you're running late, that's a very good point for that. Restlessness and dread. And as we release that, we allow more clarity, compassion, and understanding to come through. Now, under the eye here, this releases fear. We're going to be talking about that today. It also relieves anxiety, things like deprivation, bitterness, greed. Very good for cravings as well. If you get a sudden craving for donuts, and you know it's probably not the best nutritional choice to be making right now, just think about that donut craving and just tap on this point here, and you'll feel that craving start to go away. It's also good for feeling empty and feeling disappointed, because when we release that, we allow contentment, calmness, and a feeling of all being well to come through instead. Under the nose, this releases embarrassment, shame, guilt, grief, fear of ridicule, fear of failure. And this allows self-empowerment, self-acceptance, and compassion to come through. Now, the chin here, this releases confusion, uncertainty. When we're feeling really indecisive, that's a good point for this. Again, shame and embarrassment. And again, this allows more certainty to come in, clarity and self-acceptance. Now here we've got the collarbone point here, which is kind of just, see where that kind of little dip is there? And then imagine going down across 2 inches and across 2 inches. We call this a collarbone point. Now, again, this is good for indecision, worry, feeling stuck, and general stress. If you're, again, a good one, if you're kind of stuck in traffic, or if, you know, family members are stressing you out, it's good just to tap and breathe on this point. And that this allows confidence, clarity, and that feeling of being able to move forwards to come through as well, clearing, getting rid of any stuck feeling. Now then we've got here the underarm point, which is kind of where your bra strap would sit. This point here is for self-confidence. If you're feeling like I need a boost of confidence, this is a good place to do some tapping. Again, letting go of guilt, worry, restriction, that feeling of being held back, obsessive thoughts. This is a good place as well. And this allows confidence, ease, clarity, relaxation, and compassion to come through. And here the karate chop point, which is the point we start off with. It's very good for sadness and sorrow. So I'm tapping on that. Now, you don't need to worry about each of those points, and you don't need to remember which point's which, because in a round of tapping, we cover all of these points. So we don't miss anything out, because very often, when we've got multi-layered emotions that are running the show. And so by tapping through all of them, we are working through all the points and all those feelings that come up, because as human beings, we are emotional beings. And throughout the course of a day, you can be feeling up here, you can be feeling pretty good, positive, happy. You can go up and down that roller coaster of emotions through the day. So, and when you've got, medical treatment that you're dealing with, when you've got family members to deal with, when you've got your lives to deal with, and you may have work to deal with as well, each of those situations are going to cause, different emotions to come up. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and just talk to you a little bit about kind of our emotions. Now, at any point in a day, I can ask anyone, how are you feeling? And most of us, we just say, oh, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good. But when we kind of really tune into it, this is something I really encourage my clients to do several times a day, just check in with yourself. How are you feeling? And the thing that's going to be what's behind the feeling is a narrative. It's a thought that's going through your head right now. And it's the thought that is creating the feeling. So, for example, if you're stuck in traffic and you're going to be and your thoughts to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late for my meeting. I'm going to be late for work. The stress comes up because the thought of being late has created that stress. You may have a conversation that you need to have with somebody that you don't want to have. And the thought of having that conversation makes you feel anxious, a bit worried. Oh my gosh, how's this conversation going to go? It can create like a feeling in your stomach. It can cause this feeling of dread to come up in your body. And the only reason you have that feeling is because there is a thought that is creating that emotion. You may have upcoming medical tests coming up. And again, there may be worry there. What are the results of these tests? How's this next test? How's the results going to compare to the last time I had tests? And that could create worry about the future. All sorts of worries can happen in your body. Now, I had an interesting situation this week where I had an overdue meeting with my accountant, and I was dreading that meeting. There was certain kind of thoughts in my head. What it's like when it comes to kind of putting in your financial paperwork, and I was running a bit late putting that paperwork in, but it caused me a couple of sleepless nights, just thinking, oh gosh, there's stuff I needed to do, but plus, with parenting, and I've got a couple of issues with my parents at the moment. My dad's got dementia, my mum is 85 and has mobility issues. So whilst I'm running a business, need to do my financial paperwork, needing to speak to my accountant and dealing with teenagers and my parents, there's a lot of thoughts going through my head. And but this conversation, I knew that I needed to have my accountant. It was stressing me out. And it was a very silly thought that was going through my head. And I'm really quite happy to share. It was based around, I hope I filed my paperwork correctly, and I hope I'm not going to be arrested and go to jail. It was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. And but it was that silly little thought that was keeping me awake at night. And I'll be quite honest with you, I forgot to tap. I really forgot to tap. But then when I had the conversation, my accountant, she left me a voice note, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm really dreading this conversation. But it was so silly. It was so silly and so unnecessary on my part, because all those thoughts I had, they weren't actually true. I wasn't going to jail. I hadn't done anything incorrectly. Everything was absolutely fine. And the only reason I felt that way and caused myself to have this sleeplessness was because of this silly thought in my head that I hadn't done something correctly. Everything was absolutely fine. And it was just a thought that spiraled out of control. And, this is something that happened to me this week. So it was just the thought that created all this unnecessary emotion in my body. And all I needed to tell myself was, now, everything's going to be fine. You can get this sorted out. You can figure this out. Just sit at your computer for 10 minutes, just check over the paperwork. It's fine. And I needed a bit of, if I'd kind of maybe shared this with somebody, I probably could have had somebody tell me, don't be so ridiculous. You're fine. But the wonderful thing about tapping, which is what I'm going to demonstrate to you, is we can tell ourselves a completely different story than the story that we are telling ourselves, because we often tell ourselves all sorts of things that often aren't true, and we let our thoughts run away with us. And when our thoughts run away with us, this has a stressful impact on our body. So I hope everything I'm saying here, is this all kind of making sense? Good. Okay. And if anyone has any questions at this stage, I'd be really happy to kind of, let me just check the chat bar. Let's have a look. So Sid here, tried in the middle of pain, nausea, vomiting. Oh, sorry, just close down these notifications. So the tapping wasn't quite enough for pain relief or stopping nausea and vomiting. The body was stronger than mine in these cases, alas, but it helped a lot in relaxing to sleep through. So that was somebody's, I think that was a direct message to me. Since I saw the verse, I find if any discomfort, I'm tapping. Okay. I've been tapping before bed to relax. Wonderful. I'm so pleased to hear this. Helps when trying to relax to fall asleep when I'm not feeling upset about something. Perfect. And if you're new to tapping, you're going to forget, I forgot to tap this week myself, and I do this for a living. So it's a really good reminder that this is this instant magical tool that you can use just to relax and calm down. And when we're feeling calmer, we feel so much better. We're more able to cope with whatever it is we need to deal with that day when we have, calmed our stress levels down. So I'm just going to check my slides quickly just to see what's next. Sorry, bear with me. Right. So I'll just go back to, oh, I've lost you all. There we go. Just going to share my screen again. So how tapping can help us with our thoughts. That's what we're going to be sharing today. Sorry, let me just make sure I share that. Here we have some examples for how tapping can help with medical appointments and coping and overwhelm. It can really help with anxiety. It can help with worry, as I said, maybe around test results, maybe even upcoming appointments, just feeling worried about appointments, worrying about the future as well. I did this tapping quite a lot with people during the pandemic, especially when, a lot of my clients, they were worried about what was happening in the world, and, when people weren't able to travel and see loved ones, and, being in lockdown, especially as well, it really helped with the feeling of loneliness and isolation. I heard, I particularly helped a lot of my clients at that time particularly, during the pandemic, a lot of people's minds were racing with worry about the virus itself, with worry about all sorts of things to do with the pandemic, with leaving the house. Some people are terrified to leave the house. It can also help with catastrophic thinking, thoughts in the middle of the night, which, can really, really kind of go out of control. It can also help with heightened anxiety and worry as well. So, I would love to make this, interactive, just as I did last week with you. I'm just wondering kind of how you would like me to best serve you in this session. Perhaps I can pick one of those examples and give you a round of tapping, or if anybody wants to share a specific example and I can use maybe one of your examples, or I'm happy to do 2 or 3 different examples, just like I did last week. Rachel, your thoughts, how you'd like me to take this next?
I think that maybe a little bit more general, just again, because some people are still currently in treatment, so they have a lot more appointments and things like that. So I think in looking through the options here, I would say things like anxiety, fear, catastrophic thinking, coping, like those type of things. And I think that if anyone has any specific examples, and again, obviously all of our population is going to always have a lot of medical appointments, but in terms of the people on this call, some are still more in the middle of treatment, and so they have a lot going on, and then some are only following up once every 6 months or something like that. So something that could apply to everyone I think would be best, but if anyone feels differently, please just stick it in the chat.
Yeah, so just before I start the tapping, just wanted to kind of explain a little bit more about how the power of our language can really affect our emotional state. Now, our words have such power and energy behind them. We know that if we hear a kind, loving word from somebody, it makes us feel good. It makes us feel supportive. It makes us feel encouraged. And, our words are powerful. But again, if people speak harshly to you, shout at you, or are angry with you, again, that just makes you feel completely differently. And it's exactly the same with when we use words towards ourselves. Now, the words that we use towards ourselves are so powerful. I'm a big fan of talking about self-love, self-compassion, and the words that we use towards ourselves are kind of almost like a bit of a blessing, or I don't use what a blessing, or the opposite of a blessing is an anti-blessing. So, we want to bless ourselves with kind words. And when we do tapping, I do tapping in, it's a three-part way. So let me just kind of stop the share so you can see me fully for a moment. We do tapping in a 3-part way. And the first part is actually acknowledging how we're feeling. We never want to suppress the emotions. So if you're having a bad day, if you're feeling worried or anxious, we want to acknowledge those feelings. It's a bit like clearing the deck. We're clearing. We want to acknowledge the feeling. We don't want the worst thing we can do is just say, I'm fine, all's well, I'm absolutely fine, I'm good. When you're not feeling that way at all, when you want to have a good cry, or you want to offload the emotions, this is called emotional freedom technique. So when we offload the emotions, we just feel lighter. And I think some of you experienced that last week, because when we stuff down the feelings, we're suppressing them. And a lot of people, that's what we tend to do as human beings. We don't want to feel the feelings. So we suppress them, we numb out, we go watch Netflix, or we might have a glass of wine, and this is whether you're going through medical treatments or not. Generally as human beings, we want to suppress any negative emotions. But as a lot of us say in the healing profession, you kind of got to feel it to heal it. So you feel it, you bring it up, you let it move through your body, you let the tears flow, you let the feelings, the stress and emotion exit your body, and then we tap in the positive words, the kindness, the the gentleness and the love and the self-compassion. And, you know, that's a three-pronged technique where we acknowledge, we bring up to the surface, we release, and then we tap in the feel-good factor. Okay, so let's do a tapping on general anxiety right now. So I'd love to maybe just hear from those of you who are live with me at the moment, you know, just if you're thinking about, you know, the condition that you're living with at the moment. You know, I don't want to create anxiety for you unnecessarily at the moment, but I just, you know, in terms of general anxiety levels, because sometimes people can live with just constant anxiety, which again, that's no good either. It's just I have, you know, you may be feeling that I just have this constant anxiety, and you do whatever you can do to cope with it. So what I want to do kind of here is to help you to kind of release that anxiety, even if it's just temporary. And remember, you can do this as many times as you want. You can keep topping this up, so that you just let go of that anxious feeling. And then I will share with you some tools and techniques to how you can replace that with feeling, you know, more hopeful and positive and you know, just better generally. So if we think about, so somebody said here, anxiety over a state of health is due to ongoing issues. Yeah, I understand that. So if we just talk about, you know, maybe if you could give your anxiety level a rating out of 10, so 10 being really strong, but then also if you can maybe share where in your body you feel that anxiety. Now, for a lot of people, they feel that in their gut, in their solar plexus, in the pit of their tummies. Sometimes you can feel it in your heart, or you can feel it as a weight on your shoulders. Sometimes people feel it in the lower back or as pressure in their head. So there's just some examples of where you can feel not just anxiety, but any emotion really. So we're just going to focus on anxiety right now. So we've got here the gut. Yeah, a very common place. And this often relates to, you know, digestive issues as well, which we talked about last week. When we tap on releasing that anxiety, we can often let go of gut and digestive issues as well. So, and anyone kind of want to share maybe out of 10, how strong that kind of anxiety feeling is? If not, we could just go straight into a round of tapping. So I'm just going to kind of keep this quite general, but just kind of bearing in mind, you know, what I feel that you may all be going through. So we're just going to be talking on general anxiety right now. So, okay, right. Okay, so we've got here a comment. Just made an appointment for the first of 2 surgeries. I'm anxious about the choice I made between 2 surgeons. Was it the right choice? I'm feeling level 8 in my chest. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's hope we can bring that down and bring you maybe a clarity on your choice. Tapping is actually great for decision making as well. So hopefully this will just confirm that the choice you made was the right one. So we start here, as I said, on a karate chop point. And again, just repeat, just copy my action and just repeat after me. It can feel a little bit funny getting all coordinated at the beginning, but just talk and tap and repeat after me. So here we go. Even though I'm feeling anxious right now, and I feel it in my gut, or you can just say, I feel it in my head, I feel it in my chest, wherever you're feeling it. Even though I'm feeling anxious right now, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have all this anxiety in my body, and maybe I've been holding on to it for some time now. Maybe it's been a constant since my diagnosis. Even though I'm feeling this anxiety, I choose to deeply and completely love and honor myself. Even though I'm feeling all this anxiety in my body, and some days the anxiety is worse than others. And there are all manner of things that cause me to feel anxious. Even though I'm feeling all this anxiety, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and forgive myself and anyone else who may be contributing to this anxiety. Now we go through this eyebrow point here. All this anxiety, side of the eye, all this anxiety. Under the eye, I'm acknowledging this anxiety I'm feeling right now. Under the nose, wherever it's sitting in my body right now. The chin, I'm acknowledging this anxiety. Collarbone, and even though I don't want to feel this anxiety, under the arm, I'm aware that it comes from time to time. Top of the head. Maybe it's just there all the time. Now back to the eyebrow part. All this anxiety. Side of the eye, I'm allowing myself to process this anxiety. I'm allowing myself to feel this anxiety. Under the nose. I'm allowing all this anxiety to come up to the surface. On the chin. Anxiety over this condition that I'm living with. Collarbone. Anxiety over upcoming appointments. Under the arm. Anxiety about the future. Top of the head. All this anxiety. Back to the eyebrow point. I'm allowing myself to let go of this anxiety now. Allowing myself to release this anxiety now. Allowing this anxiety to move through my body. I'm letting it go now. Letting go of all this anxiety. And I'm allowing myself to feel more peaceful. To feel calmer. To feel more at ease. I'm allowing myself to feel more at ease now. Because when I feel at ease, I can think more clearly. Allowing myself to feel more and more at ease now. More and more peaceful. Calmer and calmer. And I'm sending myself love, compassion, and I'm allowing these thoughts to fill my body instead. Allowing myself to feel more self-love and more self-compassion. Allow myself to feel better. More and more ease. Calmer and calmer. And feeling more positive too. I choose to feel more and more ease in body, mind, and spirit. Now just place your hands on your heart and take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And just anchor that feeling in and just allow the feelings of ease and peacefulness just to flow through your body. When you're ready, open your eyes. And yeah, I'd just love just to check in with you all now. How are you feeling after that round of tapping? Would love to just hear in the comments. It's always good to get feedback. Oh, Nancy, have you had it? Would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah, it's so weird. Just before you started the tapping, I had a headache. I was like, why do I have a headache all of a sudden? You know, when we were starting to do this, and then all of a sudden my headache is gone. So it's great.
I love that. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Nancy. It's amazing how, because it's often tension and stress that can cause headaches. But when we eliminate the, I've got goosebumps to say this, as we eliminate the thought, we eliminate the stress, and then we eliminate the physical sensation as well. So thank you for sharing that, Nancy. So I just wanted to again explain, so as Ellen said, it's, you know, sometimes when we get in a critical loop of thinking, of negative thinking, that is what creates, you know, the stress in our body. Now, there was a writer, I think, called Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote a book called Your Word is Your Wand. Now, make of that as you will. And what she kind of, the idea behind this book was that our words are so powerful that they literally can create our reality. And I listened to, it was a wonderful podcast by Joel Osteen and Oprah a while ago. And it was, I can't remember, it was just basically, if you just look it up, Joel Osteen, Oprah, it was around the power of the words I am. And it's like the words that you speak after the words I am. I think it was such a powerful quote I heard from this podcast. The words that you speak after the words I am, they will come chasing you. It was something along those lines. So if you if the words that you keep saying to yourself, I'm so tired, I'm always late, I'm so clumsy, I'm this, I'm that, it kind of becomes part of your identity. But when you say words like, I'm relaxed, I'm peaceful, I'm finding new ways to release this stress from my body, I'm a powerful person who has control over their thoughts, you know, it's a really powerful way to you know, it's almost like brainwashing yourself to a whole new way of feeling. And whether or not it's a placebo, if you're feeling the physical benefits, it's almost like, well, who cares whether it's a placebo? If you're feeling good, like Ellen says, she felt that ball release. Was that a placebo or was that real? Only Ellen can share with us. I suspect it was pretty real what Ellen was feeling. You know, you don't make up that you have a headache. You know, you have a headache and then you can release it. That is pretty real. And all this kind of really happened with just the words that you spoke and tapping these points. Very, very simple how our bodies can really change its state. And I really believe that, you know, if we can kind of keep ourselves in that prolonged state as possible, we're just going to feel so much better. And if you can prolong feeling energized, that's great as well. As we did last week, we tapped on feeling more energized. If you're feeling very low in energy and you're just telling yourself, oh, I'm just feeling really tired, feeling really low in energy, oh, I just feel awful, I just want to lie down. And of course, you know, yes, I get it, we can all feel that way, but we can change our state even temporarily to feel better. So I kind of thought, any feedback now as to, you know, what you'd like me to tap on next? Probably got one round. We've got time for another round of tapping. Okay. All right then. So yeah, so what we can do here is just around telling yourself a story that, you know, you're actually a lot more capable and stronger than you than you think you are. And this is, I think, is one of the greatest ways that we can empower ourselves to cope with whatever life throws at us. Because sometimes we can, and it's almost like tapping back into your power again, tapping to feel powerful, confident, strong, brave. These are all emotions that we can really, really tap into. So yeah, let's do this. Let's just go straight into it. Okay. Even though I sometimes worry about my ability to cope, I sometimes let my thoughts run away with me, whether that's waiting for an appointment or thinking about the future. I sometimes find it hard to cope. Despite this, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though sometimes my thoughts run away with me and I feel worried, scared, helpless. Despite these feelings, I choose to deeply and completely love and honor myself. Even though sometimes these thoughts just go round and round in my head, and it creates so much stress in my body, I'm acknowledging all these feelings now. And I'm ready to let them go now. And I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and forgive myself for feeling this way, and anyone else who may be contributing to these thoughts and these emotions. All these feelings that race through my head, all these thoughts that can sometimes spiral out of control. And all the feelings that are created as a result of these thoughts. I'm acknowledging all these thoughts and feelings right now. All the stress, all the overwhelm, all the pressure that I feel. All the stress and tension in my body. I'm acknowledging it now. I'm letting it go now. Letting go of all these negative thoughts that are not serving me. Letting go of these thoughts that are disempowering me. I'm releasing them now. Clearing them away now. And I choose to tell myself a new story. I choose to have a new narrative in my head. I'm stronger than I think I am. I am more powerful than I think I am. And I am braver than I think I am. I'm telling myself this new story. I'm a courageous woman. I'm a powerful woman. And I can deal with anything that life throws at me. And I choose to know that I am supported on my journey. And even if it doesn't feel that way right now, I'm allowing the support and the assistance to come. But it begins with me. I choose to feel more powerful right now. I choose to feel stronger right now. Stronger in mind and stronger in body. And strong in my spirit. Choose to feel more powerful now too. Powerful in mind, powerful in body, and powerful in spirit. Now I'm really capable. And not only am I able to cope, I'm getting stronger by the day. Feeling more powerful by the day. I'm ready to completely transform the way I think. So we've all heard the saying before, our positive mental attitude can create our reality. So I'm choosing to adopt that positive mental attitude now. To feel more powerful, to feel more energized, to feel stronger and stronger. I choose to feel better and better. Stronger and stronger. Braver and braver. More and more powerful. I choose to feel better and better. More and more powerful. Stronger and stronger. In body, mind, and spirit. Take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. Just sit with that feeling for a moment and just allow it to flood through your whole body. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, and again, I'd love to hear some feedback. How did you feel after that round of tapping? If anyone wants to unmute themselves and share, I'd love to hear. Let me just take myself off spotlight so I can see you all. Yeah, and I just wanted to address the money issues. Now, this is actually one of my favorite issues of things. I wasn't actually going to talk about this at all in this series, but money is a big cause of stress for a lot of people right now. I don't know about in the US, but here in the UK, our bills are soaring, cost of living is going sky high, and that can create so much stress and tension in our body. Now, we'll probably be covering more, not necessarily the money topic next week, but just certainly kind of how Janet was talking about using the universe. And next week's session is more around spirit. And we're not going down religious routes or anything like that, but just around how our thoughts can kind of shift our energy field and how that can kind of allow weird stuff to happen in our lives. And, one of the things that I'm actually kind of best known for is around kind of helping people to manifest money, which is like, it's who doesn't want more money? And, whether you're, I teach my kids it. And when we manifest money, it makes life so much less stressful when, money is a huge cause of stress. So I've got lots of tapping videos on my YouTube channel around money. Now, They've got nothing to do with this series, and they're for you just to kind of go and check out at your own leisure and just to see how it sits with you. There's tapping for financial anxiety. There is tapping for money out of the blue. You know, we've got all sorts of strange tapping. I just want to share a very tiny story that kind of might give you a bit of like, oh, what's she talking about? About how many years ago? 2009, I kind of made the decision to start my own my holistic therapy business. But I was working in a full-time corporate job at the time, and I was kind of really, read the book Secret, and I was kind of doing this kind of like manifesting stuff, but it's all very new to me. And one of the first things I experimented with was, you know, universe, show me some money. Where can some money come out of the blue? Anyway, I was doing my practice, and what then happened was I ended up on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the game show, and the exact amount of money that I really kind of needed was £20,000. I just want to share. That's exactly the amount of money I won on the show, and it led my whole life down this whole other path. So yes, I'm here to talk to you about kind of healing and feeling better, but it goes so much further, tapping, and it can. So I just want to, I'm not going to talk about it now, but just go and explore my YouTube channel, and that's for you to kind of just to try and play with in your own time. Again, it's not going to cause you any harm, and I've had so much wonderful feedback for it. So if I can help you manifest more money as a side effect, then happy days. So I'd connect with me further. So I've got Instagram, that's my YouTube channel there, Melanie Moore EFT. So that's where you can find out. Oh, that email address is wrong. It should be team@melaniemore.co.uk if you have any questions.
And I'd also say that in the blast, the reminder blast that we've been sending out, there is a link to your website, actually. So
perfect.
we do include the link to your website, and we do include in the blast a few links to the specific YouTube videos that you had sent as sort of samples. So again, just take a look at the ones that were sent out, you know, as reminders.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Melanie. As you know, as with last week, this was wonderful. People were so engaged, and I love the combination of educational and experiential. And I love the immediate gratification part of this too, which I think is really, really special. I think that a lot of things we talk about, you don't leave at the end of the hour and actually have tools in your pocket and feel better than you did when you started. And we absolutely do. So thank you again so much for bringing, you know, your passion, your experience, and also your beautiful soothing voice, which I totally agree with you, Marlene. I could listen to Melanie read the phone book, as they say, and I'm sure that would be relaxing. Thank you all for returning, for those of you who were here last time. And as a reminder, next week we have one more session, which will be the final session, as Melanie said, on kind of the spirit, emotional, soul part of things. And I'm very much looking forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you all there.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.